Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of For What It's Nerd. This is a little bit of a different episode of For What It's Nerd, as you can see, somewhat evidenced by this if you're watching on YouTube itself. We are back live on Twitch. We're going to see how this feels, see if it's something that's worth doing going forward. We'll see. It might be a one-off, but worth trying, worth seeing whether the testing the waters, so to speak, on that. So, got a lot to discuss today. It has been a very busy week / weekend / even so far as this morning for comic book stuff and nerd stuff. So first off, I want to talk about X-Men 97, which finished the week just gone. And what do I want to say? What do I want to say about X-Men 97? Welcome in Pint Size. Hello. Hey. What do I want to say about X-Men 97? I want to say that I think X-Men, how do I put it? Visually, X-Men, I think that's one of the big parts of X-Men is that it just looks good, right? 97 looks really good as a show, and I love how it looks, so much so that the other stuff kind of sometimes can fall by the wayside, even if it's not great. And I think that's kind of the case this time around, especially in that I think every individual episode was fine, absolutely fine, no issues at all, apart from the finale, and we'll get to that. I think every story that they did was fun or engaging or interesting or had a little bit of a good emotional core or whatever, right? But I think the issue is with X-Men 97 Season 2 is that they reached too far and didn't quite hit the home run. What I thought halfway through Season 2 was that this story was going to be told over 2 whole seasons. And that they were kind of going to go for this future timeline and then kind of be stuck there and both be stuck there across the season. And then they kind of like, as you get to the end, there was other stuff happening, but that you would see them kind of get to a climax point, but still be dealing with Apocalypse by the end of Season 2 and then go into Season 3. And I think them wrapping it up so quickly in the last episode of Season 2, the finale, felt kind of like it undercut all that. I feel like it would have been really cool to have these 2 seasons that kind of married into one story, and then whatever Season 4 was could be something totally different, right? It just felt like they cut it short, they cut Apocalypse short, and don't get me wrong, I understand that this is a Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe, right? And I understand that means that sometimes you're going to have to kind of, you kind of want to do shorter, snappier episode stories within that. And I think some of those actually did service the larger plot, but I think that they didn't work because, and it's something that the genre has just said in chat, that Season 2 proved the 20-25 minute runtime is a drawback. I actually would disagree with the runtime, but I know what you're saying, genre, and it's the same problem. It comes back to the same root. There weren't enough episodes. This felt more akin to what the original animated series kind of storylines would go like, but obviously they only had 10 episodes to do it in. And I think either, as Genre said, if it was the runtime, but I'm not necessarily bothered about the runtime. I think the episodes are like short, but the runtime / having more episodes would have really helped this season be what it was intending to be and cover all the different plot points and stuff. Genre says the way it cut short also undermined the big moment in episode 3 or 4, the one where the thing happened without spoilering us. You can talk spoilers. We talk spoilers if we're reviewing stuff. We're talking spoilers. It either need to double the runtime or double the episode count. It works out the same mathematically. Exactly. I think personally that what they could have done is they could have dropped it in arcs, and they could have dropped those first 4 episodes, then dropped another 4 episodes, and then like done a few of those every other week, and just kind of kept the same cadence running. But basically, I think there was the things that weren't fully realized in the season, which is such a shame because it looks really good. Apart from I didn't love the Gambit design as Apocalypse, but it looks really good. Just didn't quite materialize on the story points, and that's annoying because some of the story was really interesting and some of the character work in this season was really good. But yeah, Magneto's You said Mike and Meebo's in chat, but death got undermined with how Apocalypse got yorted. Yeah, I do think there were some parts this season that kind of implied the strength of Apocalypse, and then it was kind of very quickly cut through. And I understand why, because what they did with Rogue made sense, but it didn't feel great, I think. So what would I say for X-Men 97? I want to see more X-Men. I'm excited for an X-Men 97 Season 3. I will watch it. I will probably enjoy it. Do I feel like this was as good as the caliber of the first season? And do I think it has the same kind of depth? No, I don't. No, I do not. So that is something to keep an eye on. Welcome in, Ajax. Ajax, just so you're aware, we are talking currently about X-Men 97 Season 2. I know you've only watched Season 1, so if you don't want to discuss this, that is me too. Yeah. Cool. The short runtime or short episode count, either or, also undermines storylines that could have had a little more time to breathe. Danger could easily have been a 2-episode arc, or the one with I would have liked to see, and I know we can kind of not have, we kind of don't want to have what's the word? Too much of the other characters that aren't X-Men in this, but I feel like the show, using Black Widow and Captain America and having them just in that one little scene, when that could have been like an episode unto itself as well, or a little bit more of an episode, would have been really cool. So it's like these things that could have just been pushed on a little bit. Even those first few episodes, which were really, really strong, could have been pushed a little bit further with the timelines. That would have been cool as well. It felt like they started at the end and tried to walk it back to make things connect. I get what you mean with that, Tater. Definitely, yes, I get where you're coming with that. Wolverine shouldn't have gotten his adamantium back till the end of the season. His loss of adamantium had literal no bearing. It just felt like they were trying to get through as many things as possible very quickly. Frustrating, but hopefully they learned some lessons from what people are saying with this regards. 3, the issue is with animation, as you guys know, is usually there midway into another season by the time they've done the last one. So we'll probably already be kind of subject to some of the same in season 3. It is what it is. Okay, right. D23. We're going to go into D23 now, because I don't want to take too long on any one of these topics, any specific one of these topics, because we could take forever. We could talk about it for a lifetime. Let's talk first. Let's quickly go over Ahsoka, because Ahsoka sits on its own in this one, and then we can go back into kind of Marvel for D23. Ahsoka, Season 2. I think this trailer looks great. Now, does that mean that the story of the season is going to live up to our expectations? Maybe not, right? But I think genuinely, I am very excited to see this kind of war going on in the galaxy. Thrawn's coming back. Thrawn is declaring war on the Rebel Alliance, which is, I love that bit. Very much feels very heir of the Empire. Now, whether or not that's going to feel as grandiose as that story does, who knows? But we shall see on that. I think just some of the shots in that trailer were phenomenal. It's really cool to see all of the, or most of the, obviously not all, but most of, I can't remember their name. Why can't I remember this? Phoenix Squadron back together. The gang, the Rebels gang, back together. The Ghost Crew, yeah. Phoenix, is the Phoenix Squadron the right word though? That was their name, right? They were part of Phoenix Squadron, but the Ghost Crew, yes, you're right. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it looks really cool. I think it looks really... Phoenix was the group they're in. Yes, sorry, apologies. Similar thing. Yes, very excited for that. I think it looks like an improvement from season 1 in terms of a few things that people had critiqued. But I am conscious that the story could be... I mean, I'm not saying the story's going to be bad, but I'm just conscious that the story is trying to adapt, and this is something that Star Wars doesn't often do, adapt a very important storyline that people love from Legends, and at the same time is trying to culminate a lot of Mandalorian, Mandoverse stuff that's been going on. So, like, we shall see how that does at kind of living up to expectations. I think it's going to be a bit of fun, regardless. Just going back up in chat quickly, Genre says Rory McCann is the recast for Bill and is a masterful job. I actually genuinely, when I watched the trailer, I had to slow it down because very rare that you can say this, the casting and the way they've done the outfits and the designs makes it look like it genuinely feels like a true throughput. You know, obviously very sad that we had to have a different actor at all, but it looked authentic. It looked really good. So I'm excited to see that. And obviously I believe the actors were friends in real life, obviously before Ray, it's Ray, right? Isn't it? Ray passed. So I think that could work out. It could be good. It could be good. It has all the ingredients to make a great dish. Just depends on how good the chef is. That's what Genre says there. And yes, I agree, Genre. Dave Filoni, as you guys know, can be great, and then sometimes he can just miss the mark. And obviously, it's not just Dave for this. It's got other people involved as well. So we'll see how that goes. Visually, I think it looks great. Can we talk about how I think it's Ariana Greenblatt, isn't it? Looks insanely, just 100% looks like Clone Wars Ahsoka. Just 100%. And it's so exciting to see other outfits from that era be adapted as well, and seeing Hayden Christensen back. And I believe is Ewan McGregor meant to be in this as Obi-Wan as well? Is that meant to happen? Seeing her as Ahsoka and Hayden as Anakin live action just feels right. It does feel right, Chandra. It really does. It feels just yes. I want more. I would be happy with a limited series of that. I'd love to see you in this show. Yeah, I would too, to be honest. I'm really excited to see if there's any kind of secret reveals that we've got going on and stuff as well. So we shall see how that goes. Visually looks great. Interested to see the Night Sister angle as well. Let's see how that looks. The de-aging on Hayden seems better this time around. The shot of him in the Clone Wars gear looked a lot fresher than before. I think they've refined their process a lot more for this second season. Obviously, it's taken a lot more time for this to come out. And so I think that is probably going to make it feel a lot better from the visual standpoint. A lot of people were also saying that Thrawn looks a lot better in this season, especially regards his, like, the definition of the chiss features, which obviously are a lot more angular. So we shall see on that too. That is Star Wars. Very excited for that. Hoping that it leads into a little bit more of Thrawn and a little bit more of the Mandoverse stuff, and kind of maybe they'll kind of capstone that or tie that off with a bow. What the fuck is this? This is For What It's Nerd, Jaybird. This is where we discuss movies, TV shows, trailers, etc. Books sometimes. You never know. So let's talk about we'll quickly say about Doomsday, because that's going to be a quick one. Obviously, the trailer that was shown at Hall H in Comic-Con was shown here at D23 properly. I've never been here before. Jaybird, this is a place we've actually never streamed for about 4 years, but I'm trying it out. Is it new? No. I've had the channel for years, but I've never streamed on it for a while. So this is a little bit of a new test, an old test brought back, I guess. So Doomsday, obviously they showed the trailer from Hall H proper. It looks really good. I think the angle that they're going with Doom, making him somewhat personable, at least to the X-Men, to the Fantastic Four, is an interesting take. A lot of people are actually arguing, and I think this is really fun, is people are arguing that there might be actually do two Dooms. This is like a prevailing theory now. There's actually two Dooms in that trailer, and one of them is not Robert Downey Jr., and it's all been a big ploy to confuse us, to bamboozle us until we get into the movie, and then there's going to be some kind of reveal that Robert Downey Jr. isn't actually the real Doom, or if he is, there's another Doom. Who knows? This trailer eclipsed the first one by a wide margin. To me, this is the one that got me to lock in, not going to lie. This is Genre, by the way, saying this. It finally made Doom click, and the chemistry between him and Pedro as Reed felt strong. I really felt that scene was I think that's probably Pedro's best acting as I genuinely think that's Pedro's best acting as Mr. Fantastic yet, because we haven't really seen him angry, and I'm kind of interested to see an angry Mr. Fantastic, because it's not something you get often, and when you do or have, it's usually him going somewhat villainous, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I thought you were recommending someone else's stream. No, I wasn't, Jaybird. I would never recommend you to watch someone else. Genre says again, someone looked at the Doom close-up where he had blue eyes and showed that it looks incredibly similar to Cillian Murphy's blue eyes. Who knows? Who knows who could be there? Lily, thank you for the follow as well. Yeah, so Doomsday. There's not much to say because, how do I put it? Doomsday obviously is big. It's going to be a big movie. Everyone's excited for it. The trailer was cool, but we'd seen it. Like, not actually, but we'd seen it because, like, we weren't meant to see it. But obviously, there's always going to be a bootleg version out there. So, like, I'd seen it already, so like I can't really say like I'm super like it was good. It's a good trailer. It works, but like this is some of the frustration that comes with these types of events. You don't get to actually see the thing with some of these. They keep them locked, like this trailer locked to a little room, and so you get a bootleg trailer, and it's kind of like it ruins the hype of it a little bit because you're watching a grainy thing, and then you really see the real one in 3 weeks' time or 3 months' time or whatever it ends up being, and you think. Not really interested in that now. Well, yeah, I am interested, but I'm not really as excited because I saw the blurry version however many weeks ago. Also, Sue saying that Victor was the smartest man in every room. He's immediately sets the tone given how Reed's being portrayed. Yeah, I really do like the dynamics that they're setting up within this movie, and I'm interested to see how. One thing I feel like we haven't got yet is how all of these other characters are going to interact together. I think that's going to be really interesting to kind of pace out, like how we're going to have Shang-Chi interact with the X-Men, have Cap kind of interact with Magneto and stuff like that. Like that's going to be interesting to see on screen, see how that kind of plays out. So that's going to be a fun thing to look forward to. Let's talk X-Men next. So we got our announcement for the X-Men cast. So of course we know already that Sadie Sink is. If you guys haven't watched the movie, I say have to come back. We're currently talking about X-Men, Visionquest, and then we're going to talk about Lanterns, Ajax. So you could be safe to come back. Also, sorry for hogging your commentary, but Doom saying you've all lived stolen lives is a big key thing. I think it's meant to be about these incursions, right? And that, yeah, I think that's the idea that things have gone wrong, and so they're trying to put them right. Definitely, Chandra, definitely. So X-Men. So of course we know from Brand New Day, and if you haven't seen Brand New Day, then apologies, but we know that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. We've had Cyclops be confirmed as Kit Connor. We have Emma Frost, which I think is an interesting pull for this first movie, and we'll go back to that and what I think that's going to be. Samara Weaving is playing Emma Frost. We've got Inde Navarrete playing Rogue. Of course, a big hit from her recently with Obsession. She's kind of made, not headlines, but she's become quite, famous. And so they're using her for Rogue, which I think is interesting angle. Definitely interesting to take someone who's kind of part of the current zeitgeist, so to speak. Then we have, I believe it's Maya Boyd as Storm. Now, as I understand it, she hasn't got many acting credits as yet, but has done a lot of theatre. And I think theatre is actually a really good thing for anyone playing Storm to have, because as you guys know, in most Storm adaptations, she is meant to be this woman who controls the elements, and there's a lot of kind of movement needed for that. There's a lot of kind of presence needed for that. I mean, as you guys know from many different versions of Storm, she literally is shouting to the elements to command them. So I'm kind of hoping they adapt that a little bit and be a little bit more cheeky with it. The Storm from X-Men 97, going back to that one, of course, is like that. So I think that would be a really cool thing to see. Given Samara and Professor X actor similar in age, I wonder if they're setting up Emma as the ideological opposite to Charles until Magneto comes around. She's our foil. Potentially, that could be a good idea, actually. I have a different idea, but that's a good one. Who is the actor for Professor X? Of course, we've had a Professor X announced, but I forget the actor's name. But I think he's married to Aubrey Plaza, if I'm right in thinking. I think. That's the one guy I did not remember the name of. Sorry, Mr. Dude. And the big one, the one that matters the most to me, Christopher Abbott, there you go. The one that matters to me the most, Adam Driver. Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. I am very excited about that casting. Not only because it looks... Is he married to Aubrey Plaza? He is married to Aubrey Plaza. You're right, the more you know. There you go. Yeah. So, Mr. Sinister. Not only do I think the casting looks great, not only do I think the casting looks great from a just a visual standpoint, but I think Adam Driver can pull off that Mr. Sinister, the sinister side of Mr. Sinister, but also he's got this kind of like campiness and gravitas and drama. I'm very excited to see how that plays. I'm excited to see how that feels. With Adam Driver in the seat there, I think he has that range to be able to play all those different emotions that Mr. Sinister, has. So I'm really excited about that one. Let's go back to Emma Frost, though, because I do want to talk about this. I think this is the one that really is the interesting one. Nate says in chat, I thought last night that Emma would have been great as the person in the Spider-Man film, sets up that little bit of evilness, in my opinion. That would have been a good way of... I actually think you're right. Not that I disliked Jean, and I know what you're saying. Nate and I have discussed about this off video, off stream, about the fact that Jean obviously has become, and Ajax has said it in chat as well, somewhat villainous because of what happened within Brand New Day. And I do think Emma could have basically served the exact same function, because in regards to the film, the same powers could have applied 100%. I liked having a little bit of a bad edge to Jean, because I think it sets up what comes down the line with her for me. I know what you're saying, Ajax. What I would say though is that I think we need to wait until the X-Men movie comes out to judge how that works for Jean, because I want to know. Because, for example, right, what if she has essentially been the starter for the kind of anti-mutant hate in the universe? What if what she did to all those people is sort of a seed for the Friends of Humanity, or whatever you want to call it, in the universe? So I don't want to just dismiss the Jean thing out of hand, because it could become a plot point, and it could be very fun to see Jean be this kind of like person who's like, she's fucked up and she's caused the issues for mutant kind. And I think that'll be a really interesting idea, depending on how those universes kind of come together. The reason I think Emma could be a foil for Charles initially and be his ideological opposite is they could play on the fact that Charles is used to being able to understand everyone via telepathy, but he can't understand Emma in her diamond form. It sets up the same dynamic that Magneto has with his helm. Good shout, Chandra. That sounds cool. It's good setting up for Phoenix, but she would be locked up for what she's done. Yes, she's hurting, but so is every villain. Of course, I'm not saying that's untrue. And I think while Spider-Man let her go, I think you could still see Damage Control or other people going after her. I'll be interested to see if they even did a switch where you see, I forget his name within the universe, but Metzger. If you see Metzger become sort of the catalyst, even, because he's in the wind, the catalyst for this anti-mutants agenda, maybe. That could be a potentially cool angle. And then he's kind of chasing her down again. I am trying to keep up with chat, but obviously I'm swimming in comments and I'm trying to say other things as well. So not to dismiss you guys, I will get back to chat. But my thought with Emma Frost is, and I know the ages are a little bit different, so maybe not. I was thinking about this as I was formulating the idea, but I'm wondering if they're doing a reverse Jean and Emma here. In that, I wonder if Emma is going to be part of the team initially, and there's going to be some kind of thing with Emma and Scott initially, and then obviously the kind of good girl comes along and takes the guy from the mean girl. I'm wondering if we do that kind of route, like good girl being Jean, of course, but I wonder if we kind of have that kind of vibe of like kind of any kind of teen rom-com movie where basically like there's a guy who's dating the bitch, so to speak, and then he realizes that she's a bitch. Not that I love Emma, you guys know I love Emma Frost, but and then ends up with G. I'm wondering if there's maybe the angle like that. Who knows? Potentially, maybe they're doing a reverse on the G and Emma Scott love triangle, so to speak. Who knows? But you see them doing Madeline with Jean and Sinister in the same film, obviously without the whole child thing. Well, maybe that's another angle. It is Jean. Is Jean from Brand New Day Jean? I know that would be such a shit thing to do, considering that was the first time she was introduced, but maybe it's not. I think Jean's story in Brand New Day is pretty good allegory for mistreatment of certain groups nowadays, and how they fight back in bad ways. It's all that's available, which then furthers the detriment of their public view by the groups who oppress them. So I didn't mind what they did with Jean. That's sort of where I'm at with the genre, to be honest. Yeah, 100%. I personally like it because I think it gives nuance to Jean that she doesn't often get. So we'll see how that goes. I'm interested. I think what they're setting out definitely feels different straight off the bat, and that's the good thing. That's the better thing of it. Or is that going to be too similar to the Skrulls, which has had a major backlash for having characters not being those characters? That's the opposite end of it. You don't want to. That's why I'm saying it could be that, but maybe not. Anyway, on to Visionquest. And I think everyone forgot about this show. I genuinely think they did, mainly because it hasn't been talked about much or crazy amounts. Whoo! I think it looks insanely good. The visuals are the best of the trilogy that they're espousing it to be part of. They're espousing, is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. They're sort of implying that it's meant to be sort of the capstone of the WandaVision trilogy, and I think it looks the best it's looked. The house looks really cool. Obviously, we have Ultron back. Yes, people, Ultron genre. We have Friday. We have some of the other robot elements throughout the MCU. There's meant to be, I think, Jocasta is meant to turn up. All these characters. On top of that, we have Speed being introduced. Obviously, that's Tommy coming back into the MCU here, and I'm interested to see how that dynamic works. It's really cool to see that one child has kind of had the kind of wonder side of the kind of universe explained to them or given to them, and then the other child is getting kind of almost the I don't want to say Avengers because that's wrong, but like the Vision side, so to speak. Vision with his big ass freaking collar is becoming a thing. Yes, also the costume looks really good as well. I will agree. Yes, I think this is going to be a very interesting one to keep an eye on. I think it could be a little bit more mindfucky than we first thought. I mean, Visionquest as a title didn't imply exactly that it was going to be like a straight-laced show, but I think they're really trying to play into that last element of like the harkening back to old television styles. Someone was saying like one still from the trailer looks like a TARDIS. Like, are they messing with those kind of ideas? Are they kind of trying to do like sci-fi shows? Is there going to be something kind of Star Trek-y in this? Is there going to be something Star Wars-y? Is there going to be something Doctor Who-esque? Is that what they're doing? Maybe. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I'll be interested to see the villain of this, because it seems like we've got Ultron playing kind of this antagonistic role a little bit, but also kind of helping Vision. And then on the opposite side, we've got Speed's girlfriend, Coat of Arms, who is also seems to be in this as like a villainous thing. But are they the real villains, or is there something else going on? Who knows? The only thing I'm wondering is, do we see Agatha and Billy? Their show ended with them wanting to find Tommy, and now Tommy's in Visionquest, or do they save that for Secret Wars or something? I'm thinking that might be like last episode post-credit stuff genre, because I feel like this is probably happening at a not dissimilar time. Maybe. We shall see. Who knows? Maybe they show up in the last episode or near to last episode. We shall see. I think they probably wouldn't want to undercut the sci-fi element by adding such a sort of occult / witchy element into the show too early. So we shall see how that plays out. But yes, I do think there's going to be something to It can't be too far apart because Tommy got resurrected near the end of Agatha, didn't he? I'm not certain. I'd have to check that back, but well, it's implied he has a life to some degree because obviously he's, we'll see. His soul got slapped into the drowning kid. We'll see how it. Yeah, but that drowning kid is clearly aged up, so we shall see. I guess we shall see. Yeah, I'm very excited for Visionquest. We will obviously be discussing that when it comes out. Please look forward to it. And last on the list, now I know a lot of people in chat might not have had a chance to watch this yet, so I'm probably going to be chatting just by myself on this one. But I got up extra early this morning because Lanterns is dropping on a Sunday night in America, or 2 a.m. in the UK. I think it's 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. depending on, I don't know which time zone it was actually in because I was asleep. But I got up early this morning to get that done so I could add that as part of the final part of this episode of For What It's Nerd, and only watching it after this. I will talk largely in non-spoilers where possible, but what I'll say is I actually really enjoyed it. It's a very interesting plot from the off because it's not trying to hide them as lanterns. In fact, there's a quite distinct timeline laid out in this first episode that lets you know that that's not the case. It's being very bold for a first episode, again, because of the timelines. You'll see that when you guys watch it. I really like the dynamic between Hal and John, and I'm really interested to see that play out across the season. And I like the fact that they're spinning it like a detective show, and it feels like a detective show, and you don't know what the fuck's going on like a detective show, but at the very same time, you are not. They're not cutting out. They're like there are moments in the show, just little moments and stuff where the powers are being used, and it is definitively Green Lantern at the same time. Like in terms of like you could take out portions, but like the whole thing that's going on is somewhat about extraterrestrials from the off. So I actually sort of implied it as to Gigita when we were watching it this morning as reverse X-Files, in that the aliens are proven and they're working back from that. It's like you guys would have to watch it to see. Is it true what I heard about the multiple year thing? Vague posting for a reason. It is, I think. Yes, I believe so. They do something very bold at the end of episode 1. That's all I'll say. I'm very intrigued to see where this is going. I think what they've done is very sensible because with the timelines and the way they've set it up, if they want to do multiple seasons of this, they can still do that whilst also having John currently be able to go on to do other stuff in the current timeline, in the now. I think that's very smart in case they want to tell a lot of stories with the cast that they've created for the show, and then obviously at the same time do new stuff with that character as well. So that's a really cool thing. I genuinely I think potentially this could be how do I put this? I genuinely think this could be like one of the, and obviously depending on how it ends, obviously I'm talking for one episode at the moment, this could be like a good in point for a lot of people who don't generally watch DC, because it doesn't push anything super DC down your throat as yet, and obviously we'll ramp it up as we go, of course, but at the same time it gives a little bit of superhero. I think that's how I would put it. Now, I do want to say, and I say this with every time I talk about a DC project, I am not a huge DC fan. I have not read a lot of DC comics. I could not tell you if these characters are true to what they are in the comics. But that does not mean that I think, how do I put it? I'm not a big DC fan. I don't know. I can't tell you guys if these characters are accurate to the comics, but I think what is important is that the show is interesting, and I think, as we always say with other media, and as we've just kind of discussed with Jean Grey, for example, you're adapting it for a different audience. There's going to be differences. I think expecting it to be exactly like the comic book page is basically always setting yourself up for failure, because they're never going to be like the comic book page, because they're trying to introduce a whole new set of fans to it. And if people were interested about the comics being exactly as they were, they'd probably be reading the comics already. And that's not a bad thing. I like comics. I love reading comics. You guys know that. But I'm just saying that sometimes it's going to be different. It's going to be different. So if Hal Jordan isn't how you like him in the show, because he's older, or because of certain actions they take in the show or whatever, that is how it is. It's not always going to be, good. Not good. It's not always going to be your ideal adaptation. What's interesting is I see Nathan Fillion listed as a main cast. Yeah, well, we know from the trailers and stuff that he's meant to show up as Guy Gardner as well. So we shall see how that factors into the story. Again, something where we're trying to put all the puzzle pieces together and trying to work it out. It is very much that type of story, and the first episode basically gives you next to nothing actually concrete. So we'll see how it all plays out. But that, guys, is this week's episode of For What It's Nerd. I actually thought we'd go a lot longer because I thought there would be a lot more to say, but I think, really speaking, it's been largely me giving my bigger points. I really don't like, and as you guys know, I don't like prolonging this more than it needs to be. I don't like making this into too much of a thing, because I think if you're making it an hour or 2 hour podcast on if it was one project, for example, then, and it goes longer than the actual show or almost as long as the movie, then you might as well just fucking stop. So yeah, Genre says, I'll take a producer's credit for this episode. Thank you very much. No, you shan't. Let me know, you guys, if you enjoyed having this live. If you prefer this to stay as recorded, as we usually do, that is totally okay too. I do want to get more people on the podcast either way. I think that would be a good way of doing that. So this is a test for going live, but potentially it's that we take it back off air, off live. But we try and get guests more frequently. We take a little bit longer, have some more segments. I really do want to push For What It's Nerd more. For What It's Nerd is doing really well at the moment. There's a lot of videos that are taking off. And I appreciate that for anyone who's been watching them. I want to push it further. It's just time. I would love to make episodes of For What It's Nerd all the time as well. It's just not always feasible. So thank you to everyone watching. Thank you to everyone who's been hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your evening, etc. And I shall see you guys soon for more. Until then, bye guys.